Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my friend's phone calls after she invited herself, her spouse, her children, and her friends to my home for an impromptu barbecue without my permission? My friend is having a hard time with her spouse, and really needs someone to be there for her while they work through their issues. We only just recently reconnected after not speaking for 4 years. Now, every time she calls she asks me what I'm doing for the day or at that moment, and then invites herself, her family of 4, and some of her friends over to my house. Example 1 for clarity: Friday was her spouse's birthday. Monday she told me her plan was to take him to dinner. Then she calls me Friday morning asking me what I was doing. I told her I was just watching a movie on my couch. Then she says, I know it's last minute, but I want to come over and barbecue at your house. She said the kids could play together and we could hang out and have some drinks. I hesitated initially, and then told her that I didn't really have a lot of meat here nor was my home company ready. She responded that she would grab some more food and do all of the cooking. Then I said okay. I cleaned up a little bit and then I received a second call. She excitedly told me that she invited her guy friend and he may bring a friend for me to talk to, and a female friend of hers was also coming. I was so shocked that she was trying to throw a party, not just come over and hang out with just her family like she implied during the first call. Her family already was 4 people that I was not expecting, which would have made a total of 8 people including my own children. I have only met 2 of the 3 people she invited. She did not even ask if she could invite anyone else to my home or give out my address. Luckily, I got a call on the other line and told her I'd call back. 2 hours passed by and she called me repeatedly. I decided to text her that something came up and I can't host a party for her husband. I did not receive a response. I waited another 2 hours and then called her to see how the barbecue party was going. She told me she didn't even have the barbecue party. Like what the F? I asked her why she didn't ask her friends to come to her apartment since she has her own barbecue grill, and why didn't she at least go out to dinner like she planned originally. She literally didn't even answer the first question, but said she didn't want to spend a lot of money going out to eat. Am I the a-hole for making up an excuse to end the call and then ignoring all of her repeated calls to confirm? Top comments. Not the a-hole, this is a friend. She sounds like a parasite, she's using you for your place. There was a reason you didn't speak. Is this a friendship worth keeping? Your home is not a public venue that she can just invite anyone to. Not the a-hole. NTA. Just say no, sorry, that will not be possible. And there is a reason you did not talk to her for 4 years. I would go back to no communication. Not the a-hole who invited the guests to other people's house without permission. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not buying my wife a plane ticket so she is missing the family vacation? My wife is horrible with money. At the beginning of our marriage we pulled out money together and she would use all of it. Her job pays crap compared to mine. So when we combined the money she went crazy. I had many conversations with her over it and even tried to get her to take a money financial class. Over time it got worse and worse. About a year ago I learned she was in bad credit card debt. I gave her he chose of divorce or we separate our money and she needs to fix her debt ASAP. To her credit, she took it seriously and she is fixing her credit card debt. We have separate money and I pay for the bills while her only worry is to buy groceries. My family has a big vacation coming up and everyone is invited. The trip is to Europe and plane tickets are going to cost $1,000 plus. My parents are going to pay for the resort, so the only thing needs to be paid is the plane ticket and fun money for the trip. I plan on going. She informed me that she will not be able to afford the ticket. I point out the trip is in about 4 months, so she should be able to save up. She informed me that she needs to use it for her credit card debt in order to get it paid off. I told her okay and I'll inform my family side that she can't make it. This started an argument that I am not willing to pay for her ticket and me going on vacation without her. I told her this is her own fault and if she was responsible with money we would be here. So am I the a-hole? Top comments. Everyone sucks here. She needs to be wiser about money, sure, I'll give you that. But she is trying. She is fixing her debts and getting her crap together. Of course, you don't have to pay for her. If this was a money issue, I would totally understand your point. But you are just punishing her. You are just being cruel. She already learned her lesson, why do you keep putting her down? You are the a-hole, she is making an effort and you should have just divorced her if you planned on holding a grudge like this. I was leaning to everyone sucks here, but more you are the a-hole. You are the a-hole for punishing her while she is making an effort to fix her debt and financial issues. I thought a marriage was supposed to be supportive of one another. Sure, she's terrible with money, but she is at least listening to you on fixing it. This whole scenario is messed up. You would go on a vacation to Europe and not bring your wife because of money? Either you can afford to go together or you cannot afford to go together. Because you're married, not dating. You are the a-hole, it sounds like you're just trying to punish her. You are the a-hole. So instead of just paying for her ticket you just tell everyone she isn't coming? OP, she is trying to fix her debt, and keep her promise from that ultimatum you gave her, and you can't be nice enough to get her a ticket to go on the trip? OP, she is trying to pay off this debt, you should be nice and get her ticket, especially since you said yourself you get way more money than her. You are the a-hole. It's a family vacation. Is she your family or a roommate? Have you been kept informed on her total debt and her progress? She's been paying off debt for a year while only buying groceries. Either she had a mountain of debt, you both have champagne and caviar diets, or she has still been frittering money away. Which is it? If she's been steadily chipping away at debt mountain, you should take her with you. If you have been eating caviar and steak on her dime while she tries to pay off debt, you should take her with you. If she's still frittering money away, you should divorce and not take her with you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling out the volunteer church organizer after her awful actions after she made my daughter-in-law cry? My daughter-in-law lost both of her parents, her mother earlier this year and dad when she was 15. I love her like she is my own and I am so proud of her and how far she has come. I am very involved in my church and we were planning an event for moms/kids. It coincided with my monthly sack lunch ministry for seniors, so in the morning we'd all make the lunches and then we'd do other things. Make friendship bracelets, run around, grill, tie-dye, etc. My daughter-in-law is not religious but she does like to give back, so when I invited her she accepted. We got the lunch supplies and she helped with the lunches. She even offered to go deliver them to the organization we work with since she has a big car. This is when the church organizer Kathy started an issue. She thanked my daughter-in-law and said that would be all we needed from her all day and she can go home after. I said no, daughter-in-law is here to spend the day with me and have fun with everyone. Kathy had the gall to make an ugly face and said she's not anyone's daughter. I said that's okay, she's my daughter-in-law if Kathy didn't know. Kathy made another ugly face and said that didn't count and that she didn't even belong here, which ruffled my feathers. Everyone should be allowed. If one of the dads wanted to come join us I would have said yes. Who cares? We got into an argument and my daughter-in-law ended up crying. Again, she just lost her mom. She left and told me to have fun and I rounded on Kathy and told her that what she'd just done was as un-Christian as I'd ever seen. And that if she can't find it in her heart to welcome everyone to our events she should not be the volunteer organizer. Kathy told me tough cookies if I don't like it to take it up with the church office. And a few other members overheard, and as I got ready to load up my van for the sack lunches a few helped me and got to talking about how awful Kathy has been. After I left they all cornered Kathy and said they would all talk to the church office. Well, she isn't the organizer anymore and she has been for over 2 decades. She ended up confronting me after church, raising her voice, getting in my face, etc. She told me I had ruined her life over my daughter-in-law not belonging to the church and that she hopes I was happy. I admit I did feel bad after that, but I'm not sure if I should. P.S. Sorry if I do any of this wrong, I mostly use this app for and crafts. Top comments. Not the a-hole. They say Christians should ask themselves, what would Jesus do? Well, I think the gospel narratives are pretty clear. Jesus would have flipped his crap over this sort of nonsense in his Father's house. This is the sort of behavior that gives Christianity a bad name, and it speaks to Kathy being the sort of wolf in sheep's clothing that Jesus warned his followers to beware of, people who would come and use his name to cover for bad behavior. Jesus welcomed all. Under his teachings, no person can be said to be not anyone's daughter/son, because Jesus specifically and repeatedly taught that all people are the daughters and sons of God. And how can a daughter of God not be welcome at an event in her father's house? Kathy ruined her own life by putting her desire to exclude before her faith. Kathy doesn't need to be organizing any church events until she gets herself right with God and Jesus and learns to be a good representative of the faith she claims to hold. Right now, she's pushing people away from the church by being nasty and claiming nastiness in the name of Jesus. Way to be a warrior for your faith by seeing to it that a wolf in sheep's clothing was removed from a position where she was causing damage. Not the a-hole, and please don't feel bad that the angry old woman ruined her own position at the church. I was raised in a church, but my family fell out when people like Kathy started taking all the leadership positions and no one stood up to them. That church has since become a haven for hatred, and it makes me so sad. People like Kathy give religious people a bad name and don't deserve any power within the church. Not the a-hole. It is very telling that all the people who helped you who complained to the powers that be. It means that this wasn't just you that was outraged about Kathy's actions. And I'll bet that it wasn't just about this one incident, that there are other incidents in the past. If getting booted from this one even ruined Kathy's life, then she didn't have much of a life to begin with. Trust me, you didn't cause this. Kathy's own behavior caused this. She simply doesn't want to take responsibility for her own choices. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling the family therapist my dad and stepmom refused to do the homework assigned and didn't follow her advice? I'm 16M, in therapy with my dad and stepmom. It's been 3 or 4 months of therapy now. We started going because my stepmom wants a different relationship with me than I want with her. Her feelings were getting hurt and I was getting frustrated with feeling like what I wanted didn't matter and that her wants were the priority. Stepmom has been stepmom since I was 9 and I've known her since I was 9. I didn't really get time in between meeting her and her marrying dad to get to know her well because she moved states to live with us. I lost my mom when I was 5. She wanted us to have a mom/son dynamic. I saw her as family but not as a mom or even an actual parent. I do respect her. I think she's nice. I think she's funny and we'd be friends easier if I had been older. But I don't want another mom. Her giving birth to my half-siblings didn't change that for me, but having them made her more eager for more. She calls me her son all the time. I have voiced before that I wish she'd say stepson. I was ignored and it was never addressed. When we started therapy I had mentioned that was something I disliked. She had talked about how she disliked me calling her by her name. How she wanted something more formal between us, like mama or something. Dad said he wanted me to embrace having a second mom. He wanted me to let my stepmom be my second mom. I was honest that I feel like my voice doesn't matter when they ignore me asking her to call me her stepson. I explained why I want that, why I feel as I do. They tried to dismiss it but the therapist told them to stop. She told them that me feeling like it lessens my mom is valid. That many kids and adults feel that way. And while that could change if I wanted it to, if I wanted to work on that, if not it was something they would need to accept. 2 weeks ago she gave us homework. She wanted us to sit down and discuss outside of therapy the whole son/mama thing and come back to her with notes from it. She also wanted my stepmom to call me her stepson for a week. They didn't do any of that. I told the therapist during our session last week. I said they refused to sit with me, true, and she never once called me her stepson. I was asked to sit out for the rest of the session and she had it just them and her that day. They are so pissed at me. They told me I had done that to spite them and it's not fair that my stepmom has to do the work but not me, and she's right while I'm wrong. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Therapy is hard and it's painful but you only get toward a better ending if you're all honest and do the work. It sounds like they've been hoping that the therapist will just blindly agree with them rather than really having to put their own egos aside. Not the a-hole. Therapy will only work if everyone is honest. They're just embarrassed they got caught being uncooperative, but that's their own fault. You did the right thing, OP. Not the a-hole. Your father is awful. Therapist seems reasonable. Very sorry, hopefully you will be off at college in 2 years. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she is not invited to my wedding since our brother won't be there if she is? I am 28, Ginny is 25, Ron is 23. My sister, Ginny, was a nightmare growing up. She was not pleasant at all and got kicked out of the home at 18. I admit our parent could have handled her better, but she did not make it easy. They did try to send her to therapy, but it put a huge strain on finances. She wouldn't do the stuff and my parents stopped doing it. I am older than her, so she left me alone for the most part. My brother, Ron, was 2 years younger and she was a huge bully to him. She made his life a hell in the home. It got to the point that he would stay in my college dorm room to get away from her. He only went home after our parents kicked her out. After that I didn't hear from her for a while. Last year she reached out and wanted to catch up. Ginny is much better than how she was as a teenager. She reached out to Ron, but he wants nothing to do with her. I see her once every few months. I am getting married and I had a conversation with my brother of what would happen if I invited Ginny. He told me he would not attend, and I understand. So I didn't invite her. I got a call and she asked me why she was not invited to the wedding. She leaned about it from my aunt. I told her the real reason: the Ron would not attend if she was present. This started an argument about how I chose Ron over her and that he is wrong for giving me an ultimatum. It's got around to the family and some are saying I am a jerk for this while others think it is completely fair. Top comments. Not the a-hole, it's your wedding and you get to decide who gets to come. If you can deal with the negative fallout from the periphery, I think it's perfectly fine to choose one of the two estranged siblings if they are the aggrieved party and the other hasn't made amends. Are you Fred, George, or Percy? Opie replies. Fred. Ginny is much better than how she was as a teenager. She hasn't changed that much. If she doesn't understand why, if you had to pick, you'd choose Ron as a wedding guest instead of her. And Ron was perfectly within his rights to say he wouldn't attend if Ginny did. I wouldn't want to deal with her under any circumstances if I were him, and I bet Ginny would make quite a scene about it at your wedding too. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, it's completely fair. She was an a-hole for years to your brother and is now reaping what she sowed. She clearly caused deep wounds there so that he doesn't even want to reconnect. You have a good relationship with your brother and always have, so out of the two of them that you would want to be at your wedding, it clearly would be your brother. Tough luck on her. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.